Hello, Cancer, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of November 16th through the 22nd, and during that time we'll have a waning crescent moon, which is a time of surrender, rest, and healing, time to really let go and rest and prepare for the new cycle that's ahead, which starts on the 20th with the new moon. So that new moon energy can go for a day or two or three. So, new moon, of course, is a good time for a fresh start, new beginnings, a good time to start new projects. Anyway, just get new things going. Think about the things that you've just been through and what you want to change for the upcoming cycle, and then get buckled down and get to work on those things. Get them started. So, all right, this will be an intuitive general reading for the energies that you may or may not encounter, Cancer. So, as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this reading: the answers you need are coming. All right, let's see what the Cancer Collective has going on for the week. As I'm shuffling, my fun weekly reminder this week is that you take the time to learn something new. So a lot of times there's, little interests or things that come in and we kind of push them aside and think, oh, I don't really know that much about that, but, take one of those things that's come up and just take a little bit of extra time to deep dive on it. So I know I have a couple things in mind for myself. Sometimes it's good to just learn something and do a little deeper dive. I know I've been listening to an audiobook the last few days. I'll probably do a little bit more of that tonight. And I just put it on while I'm doing some other things, and I'm learning while I'm sewing something or cleaning something or cooking, whatever I'm doing. So anyway, that's my fun weekly reminder, is that you just take a few hours to do a deep dive. Either read a book, listen to one, on audiobooks. Like I tend to do that a lot if I'm not going to sit and read. With the time change now, it has been kind of nice that it gets dark earlier, and I do feel like, oh, it's time to just sit down with a book if I don't fall asleep when I do that. So anyway, that's my fun weekly reminder. Let's get into this reading, Cancer. November 16th through the 22nd. The answers you need are coming. And your overall present energy for this week is the 10 of Pentacles, which I find very interesting because this card has been hidden. It was hidden on, I believe, Gemini and Taurus's reading. It was their hidden card. And so here it is prominently, something that's on your mind this week, Cancer. And, 10 of Pentacles is about wealth, security, and really in the long term. If you also look, if this means anything to you, the Tree of Life is represented here by those pentacles. So looks like, there's something on your mind when it comes to your long-term wealth, security, that sort of thing. This could be that you're waiting on some investment to come through or some information when it comes to that. So that looks like something that, my chair adjusted here. Chair doesn't want to move. Okay. Your current situation right now is the Hanged Man. So you've got some sort of new perspective. And hopefully that means that was good news that has come in about this information, but you've got a new perspective on it. And you might just be you might be taking a second look at something or looking at something a little bit deeper to get that new perspective. Maybe, if you're younger, where am I in my retirement account? Let's take a look at that. It might be that just time of year to kind of look over those things and make sure that you're going to do the right things in the upcoming year that get you in a better space there. At the root of your situation is things that are coming in very quickly here with the Eight of Wands. So this could be information coming in. It could be money coming in. It could be, changes that are coming in that you just have to navigate and deal with. But that's kind of what's making you stop, kind of take a new perspective to look at this and think about things that are a little bit more long-term than you normally would think about. In your recent past is the Six of Swords. So you've definitely been steadily moving in a pretty calm way, towards your future with, new thoughts, ideas. Here we are at the end of a cycle. So I would imagine that that probably represents your past cycle, that you've been moving forward with, new thoughts, new ideas, and in a calm way, that maybe you've just had, a pretty calm month, and you're just taking the time to kind of do some evaluations here. What is on your mind is, your financial stability. I'm not shocked to see that card pop up. Also, that was at, I want to say it was the root of Taurus's thing. So if you have a Taurus in your life and you're a Cancer, you may want to cross watch and watch that reading. I'm starting to see some of the same cards come up. Sometimes I can see how some of the different signs kind of interact with each other. It's very interesting. But again, some of these cards came up in Taurus's reading. But yeah, you're it's on your mind to, to wonder about your financial stability. Did your retirement account grow? Did something change with your income that you're now having to, make adjustments, make plans, do things a little bit differently. So, but yeah, something is causing you to have some sort of new perspective. What is ahead of you this week is the Queen of Swords. I'm again going to point you towards the Taurus reading. I feel like that card was in the exact same position. Sometimes this happens. So, Queen of Swords is about, logic, but also being very direct, but having an understanding about their suit. And not only an understanding on how they work, and that would be logic and intellect, but also the people around them. And this could be, understanding that about the place where you work, how you're, if you're talking about retirement and that sort of thing, how that program works where you work. And there may be things that you don't know, and sometimes you'd have to stop every once in a while and like, let's re-educate again. What was that thing you said again? What was that thing you said a year ago that I have paid attention to? Let me pay a little more attention to that now. So it might just be that time of year again for signing up for those things, renewing. Sometimes they want to know where you want different parts of your the money that you have in your retirement account, where you want it invested, and you might want to take another look at that right now. Just a good time of year to do that. In your advice position is the Seven of Wands. So, you know, and this in your advice position says it's okay to go against the grain a little bit. You may, this is the feeling like you against the world card, but because it's in your advice, it's like that's okay. If you're doing something that's a little bit against the grain from what people around you are doing, I feel like the advice is that fine. You may have a different way of thinking about it, and you may be correct. So, don't feel like you have to kind of go with the flow. Go ahead and do the thing that you want to do for your own logical reasons. What is beyond your control this week is the Two of Wands here. So definitely thinking about your future. Again, you're moving into it logically. You're thinking about long term. You're thinking about your stability. So of course, I'm not surprised to see that card there too. It's just kind of beyond your control. Something, you've got some sort of new perspective on it. Something has changed. You're moving into the future in maybe a different way because of this new perspective. So I'm not shocked to see that card. What is your secret desire, or what you're trying to avoid, is the Star card. And I'm going to put my thumb over the Star card because I got dinged for um, content on a reading I did last week because of the sultry Star card. Oh my goodness, YouTube. Anyway, so yeah, this is a Star card, YouTube, and you see I've covered this with my thumb kind of comically. Anyway, Star card is about direction. So, you know, this is it your secret desire to kind of pay attention to the universe and watch for, direction signs, things that you should be doing or not doing, this is the Star card is the card of guidance, of prosperity, but it's about destination. It's about watching those kind of signs. You're being drawn to certain things, like, people say the term, it's written in the stars, some things that just seem destined to be. And your question, this will be your big question of the week, is that your secret desire is to kind of follow that direction, to follow those signs, or are you trying to avoid doing that? So, the star is about finding that clarity and finding that clarity in, each step that you take in your life and in the universe. So that'll be your big question of the week. In your outcome position is the Page of Wands. So you may discover something new, some new path in all of this, and some new path for growth, and some new path that you're passionate about. Again, maybe, I keep using your retirement plan as a catalyst. Of course, tarot can template over any situation you're going through. So, keep that in mind. But this would be like that you did pay attention in that meeting about your retirement, and you learned something and you're applying it and you're a little more passionate about it. You feel, you've got a little bit more knowledge under your belt, and you kind of understand something that maybe you didn't understand before, and it makes you feel a little more engaged, involved, and passionate about it. So what is hidden from you this week, Cancer, is the Queen of Pentacles. So that is a hidden understanding about money and the material world and how things work. So, yeah, if there's something hidden, I do feel like maybe you're going to learn something new that's going to head you in that right direction. And this is the card of understanding, that realm, the realm that, in this case, Pentacles, understanding everything about that realm. where the kings where the card that you really want to level up to, it would be the king, which is really super understanding. But the page is definitely the beginning of it, and the queen would be your next step. I would even throw a knight in there also if we're talking about the royalty cards. It's like you're taking steps in the right direction, but I think that is your first step right there. And hopefully in the next I would say the next 6 months you would see a king of pentacles very prominent in your reading, where you're really knowledgeable. You've taken the time. Like I said, it's a good time to learn new things. And if it's something about the finances and things like that, like I said, your retirement account, then it's a good time to do that right now during the new moon. Get that started. All right, card that wants to come out for you when it comes to the Soul Oracle deck is the card that says Rejuvenate. Okay, so maybe, yeah, I do get the feeling that it's like taking a look again at something. It's not like the first time you've looked at it, but again, it's a changed perspective, and it's learning something new. Again, I'm using the pentacles, because the pentacles was the centerpiece here with this 10, that you're thinking about things that are long term. So it doesn't necessarily have to be money. All of this could relate to maybe you're purchasing a home or thinking about it, and so you're learning all the details about the current real estate market, or what houses are in your area, or an area that you want to move to. But you're just going to, that's kind of a new passion that you're like, okay, this is like my new part-time hobby, is to look for a home. What kind of home, you know, um, and you're going to learn a lot about that. So, all right, what does Cancer need to do in the way of self-care this week? Self-care for Cancer, November 16 through 22. And the card that you get is the card Time, with an hourglass on it. Time spent worrying is time spent. I love that card. Yeah, stop worrying. Buckle down, get to work, learn something. Worrying does nobody any good, but if you're doing something more productive, like learning about something, like taking part, of finding a new passion, something that, learning is going to get you way further than any kind of worrying will. And I know cancers do tend to worry quite a bit. So give yourself a little bit of time every day and say, this is the time I have to worry. I'm going to take that time. I'm going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to worry about everything in the world. And then I'm going to stop, and I'm going to move to learning and taking action and doing things that are more positive. So but I do love this. Time spent worrying is time spent. It's just, there's no, it's just useless to do. But I know that, we tend to do it. So try not to, don't worry, be happy. Is that what the song says? So Cancer, thank you so much for being here. I hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use in your life this week. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below. Are you renewing a retirement thing? Are you looking for real estate? Is there something in your long-term financial realm that you've had a perspective change, or something has changed for you recently? I'd be very curious to know that. And also, you can compare notes with other Cancers in the comments. Again, if you have a Taurus in your life, you might want to cross watch. I feel like there were a lot of the same cards in that reading, so you guys may have some things that you're working on together that go hand in hand, so check that out. If you like my reading style, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps my channel, but more importantly, Cancer, it'll help you find me next week, where you can come back and we can see if this energy continues, or if there's something completely new here for you next week. So thank you so much for being here. See you next time. Bye-bye.